has come out and admitted that Black Lives Matter and the COVID operation work in tandem to bring in, quote, sustainable development worldwide. It's directed by the UN. It's meant to shut down industry and businesses and farms selectively, and that's exactly what it's being used to do right now. China's been fully open for business for 3 months, but we're told by the Democrats and the UN that we're never basically reopening. They're actually doing it. They're actually involved in the most ancient form of total war, siege. I'm absolutely against centralization of police. I'm actually absolutely against the United Nations training our police. But when you see the globalists coming in, trying to, quote, abolish and overthrow the police, that is simply to take them over in the UN Strong Cities Initiative and really make them a tool, not just of an out-of-control federal secret police, but of the United Nations itself. I am just as frustrated with President Trump as most of you. But I understand that he is trying to restore the republic and turn our economy back on and secure our borders. He has legitimately fought very, very hard and gotten hundreds of critical things done. Yes, he's failed massively when it comes to reining in big tech's censorship, surveillance, abuse, and bullying of the American people. And he's failed to deliver on exposing vaccines as he promised to do. And the list goes on and on. Regardless, with less than 140 days left of the election, the deep state is moving against the president, and that means against we, the people. So my question to the audience and everyone else is, what should we do to support the president and to kick him into high gear, get him outside of his bubble to take action? And what should those bold actions be? Owen Schroyer is hosting the broadcast today, and I think it's a question he should pose to the audience and take phone calls and ask that question. But I know this. It's up to we, the people, to start taking action as well. So again, instead of getting mad at President Trump, let's look in the mirror and ask, how are we going to give him a good kick in the butt? And how are we going to give ourselves a good kick in the ass to take action? All I know is our country is completely overrun by globalists and globalist sympathizers who cannot wait to put this country into a permanent, massive depression and then use the economic degradation for social control over us all. What they can do now with big tech surveillance and manipulation to monitor us and force compliance is something the planet's never seen before. Now, here's some good news and some bad news on that front. Story up on Infowars.com by Steve Watson. 71% of Americans reject privacy-killing contact tracing apps. Europeans also say no to government monitoring. In fact, Europe has similar numbers. Almost 3/4 of Americans say they will not submit their privacy to contact tracing apps. The European Union also rejecting the notion outright because they do not trust government to keep their information safe and refrain from misusing it. A major study reveals that the vast majority of Americans are against contact tracing apps, with 71% saying they will not download them and 75% believing their digital privacy is at risk from the technology. But here's the problem. 4 months ago, Apple and Google merged their database and their tracking system on their operating systems and are coordinating with Communist China, the EU, the UN, and others to track where you are in lifetime, regardless. That's been given to, quote, law enforcement. So this is the police state that I vehemently oppose. And that's another example, a window into understanding what a real police state is versus, quote, abolishing the police. A police state is where you're surveilled and where you're controlled and where if you don't comply with the system, you get arrested, you get imprisoned. That's the old sense of it. And where there's basically a police officer and a spy and a snitch on every corner and your neighbors and your children are ratting you out for cash payments. That's what the Democrats have been erecting in their blue cities, in their blue states, the Republicans to a certain extent. But under the COVID hoax, we have seen a real rejection by Republicans in a populist movement across party lines saying no to the surveillance, no to the mask, no to the contact tracing. You've seen Democrats embrace it as a tool of power and control. And you've seen the Democrats openly say, oh, we can have 100,000 people out in New York for Black Lives Matter, UN globalist party takeover. But if Trump wants to have a rally, it's evil, it's a white supremacist event, and it's going to spread COVID. So there's a direct war on logic. And all this is a way to lock down their political enemies while they themselves operate. And so that's why the UN has come out and admitted that Black Lives Matter and the COVID operation work in tandem to bring in, quote, sustainable development worldwide. It's directed by the UN. It's meant to shut down industry and businesses and farms selectively, and that's exactly what it's being used to do right now. China's been fully open for business for 3 months, but we're told by the Democrats and the UN that we're never basically reopening. They're actually doing it. They're actually involved in the most ancient form of total war, siege. One of the biggest criticisms I get from listeners, and I think on the surface it's very legitimate, is you're the guy that made all the police state films. You're the guy that doesn't like Big Brother. So why are you defending the police? Well, again, the police are an institution of the city, of the county, of the state, of the federal government. And all of these systems can be abused. But there's supposedly people that we hire that work for we, the people. And you see the constitutional form of this being under attack, that being the county sheriff. I'm absolutely against centralization of police. I'm actually absolutely against the United Nations training our police. But when you see the globalists coming in trying to, quote, abolish and overthrow the police, that is simply to take them over in the UN Strong Cities Initiative and really make them a tool, not just of an out-of-control federal secret police, but of the United Nations itself. So that's something people have to think about. We're already in this United Nations, and we're supposedly a confederacy where we mutually agree to be in the United Nations, but it doesn't dictate what we do. Well, imagine as the nation states of Brazil, the UK, and the United States try to pull out of this whole world government compact, we're being told, no, we can't. And at meetings at Davos the last 3 years, Xi Jinping and others have been in the news saying, working with the EU, China, and the corporate bureaucracy, we're going to, quote, defeat America. We're going to defeat the Brexit. We're going to defeat Bolsonaro. We're going to defeat your worldwide movement of liberty, and that China will be the model. This is what the globalists and the controllers and the elites and the academics all talk about. This is what's in the CFR publications. This is just the reality of like sitting down at a restaurant, they bring you a menu. This is what's going on. And until the general public understands this worldview and understands how existential this threat is to all of us, we don't have a hope. But getting back briefly, the police state. The police state is a authoritarian, unconstitutional, oppressive mode of authoritarian governance. That's what the New World Order, the Democrats, the blue states are. The Republicans have their problems and have embraced a lot of tyranny as well. But now they're realizing what's happening and pulling away. And now here's the heart of it. I saw police being trained 25, 26, 27 years ago to be like the feds were at Waco and just come in and slaughter Americans and confiscate guns and burn up men, women, and children. And so I was against that because the feds getting their curriculum from the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center were literally in there training local police departments and the threat fusion centers and the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to wage war on America. You've seen the training manuals, the MIAC reports, all of it, that gun owners are terrorists, that if somebody says get people out of the UN and has a bumper sticker, go ahead and arrest them. I mean, you're talking about Soviet Union type stuff. But the American people spoke out. We saw a local newscast where they'd have armored vehicles and the police would say, we need this to take on constitutional terrorists. And that woke up the American people. And the American people went and talked to their local police departments. They went and talked to their sheriff's departments. And now the majority of police in America, we now know, were quietly rejecting this propaganda and rejecting this brainwashing right as we were warning about it. But they really didn't wake up to it because we warned them. That was only part of it, a small part of it, quite frankly. We now know behind the scenes the police were actually really waking up and doing their own research because they saw the attempt to take them over. So now, as I've said the last 10 years, the police have become one of our biggest allies in understanding this because they see the attempted overthrow of legitimate U.S. government from the federal right down to the state level, but particularly at the county sheriff. And so as I saw them becoming really a bulwark that they needed to be against the tyranny, the globalists figured that out. And now, instead of just trying to take them over from within, they're trying to basically bankrupt them, take their pensions, make the good people quit, and then come in with this new federal accreditation that Senator Kaine was just talking about that's written by the United Nations and Loretta Lynch. So it's an official plan. And that's why it's important good police officers not resign. That's why it's important that citizens support good policing. And that's why we do reform, particularly the blue states and blue cities that have the worst training that President Trump is now speaking out against. So we're Americans, and we've all got issues, and none of us are perfect. But the globalists are collectively coming after our local government, our system, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. We need to protect it from out of control government, if it's our government or it's the United Nations, but particularly a foreign outside government. And Americans have to recognize this across political, racial, and religious lines and come together and not be fools, because the average leftist is too far gone. But many people on the left really believe what they're doing, classical liberals. And if you just educate them, they will wake up and see what's happening by simply pointing out that communist China is the operating system of the big tech surveillance of all of it. And that communist China is the blueprint of what's now happening here today and what's being financed. And we should reject it and embrace America and fix America ourselves and not be manipulated by this constellation of evil that the globalist system constitutes. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Now back to the live transmission with Owen Schroyer and hour number 2.
Listeners have been asking us for months to develop an iodine spray made with our exclusive deep earth crystal nascent iodine. After extensive development, it's finally here. Introducing the first of its kind nascent iodine spray made with true atomic iodine. Our proprietary new Aerodyne technology allows us to harness the full power of ancient iodine crystals from 7,000 feet below the Earth's surface into the ultimate spray formula. We know iodine is an essential mineral that supports thyroid health, as well as a healthy metabolism, healthy hormone levels, and healthy cognitive function. Our newest product is now 33% off at InfoWarsStore.com. This is a must-have for daily supplementation. Every purchase helps fund the InfoWar. The new X2 spray at InfoWarsStore.com is a game changer. That's InfoWarsStore.com.
The last time I did this was 4 years ago, right around this time, to make sure a lot of our t-shirts got out there. We sold our t-shirts at cost. We sold the Hillary for Prison shirts for $5. That's what they cost us. The XXXX ones are like $6, and then some of the small ones are like $3.50. But on average, they're $5 a piece. We've got a lot of designer shirts. Some of them cost us $15 a piece. A lot of them are about $12. They have the real soft, nice fabric, made in America. That costs more. So we got a lot of stuff made in America as well. It's your choice. Other stuff made in Latin America. We avoid the Chinese stuff at all costs. There are a lot of toxic dyes and stuff from there, obviously, and it doesn't help the people. But all t-shirts are $9.95, and on average, that is cost. Some shirts cost us $5, some shirts cost us $15, but $9.95's the dead reckoning average. Some shirts we only got a few hundred of, some we got a few thousand of. InfoWarsStore.com. Go to the t-shirts, whether it's an InfoWars shirt, a Space Force shirt, a 5G kill shirt, a Mass Murderers Agree gun control work shirt. We are going to sell out of everything. And I think it'll only take a few weeks to do this. People really responded last time, and at the RNC and DNC, there was a sea of InfoWars shirts. So get them at cost at InfoWarsStore.com. I would say it supports the broadcast, but really just supports the truth because we're not making money off that. But it does trigger leftists who think they control the universe and who love to censor. Also, Survival Shield X2 Deep Earth Crystal Iodine is now available in a spray bottle, and it's a new formulation that some of the experts think is even better delivery in the solution it's in. Learn about the delivery system at InfoWarsStore.com. We're about to sell out of the regular X2. This is in, and it is $19.95, 33% off, and that supports the broadcast as well. And high-quality storable foods are available now more than ever. You need them. They last 25 years. For all the uncertainty, have that checkbox checked and support the broadcast. Now 4 weeks on average for delivery, but we have high quality ready to get out to you, and it supports the broadcast of 360 Win. So please take care of your storable foods needs at InfoWarsStore.com and get your orders in now so you get it, so you have it. It's in great containers, high quality, last 25 years. Get it while you can, because if you think things are about to let up, you ain't seen nothing yet.